for purposes of this. But we're going to start out and we're going to give it the base build. So we'll probably want this to be built in multiple parts. That way, for instance, when you're looking at a house, you're going to have that foundation, and the foundation is going to have a gray to it because it's typically a concrete pour. Now, it may have a facade built over it for stone or other things in some homes to make them look nicer, but you're going to have a foundation in most cases that's just this plain gray with other things built on top of that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a 40 by, let's say, 60. Let's go, oh, well, that's a little tall. Okay, so over here, I can still adjust just by clicking on it, but we know 40, and I want 40, and I still want my positioning to be, well, doesn't have to be 0, so we won't worry about that too much. So 40 is obviously going to be too tall, so we're going to want this proportional. So let's look at a 10. It still looks high for a foundation, so let's go ahead and drop that again to 5. And here, once again, in this instance, we're looking more for visual effect, not true dimension. So now I'm going to take the same box and I'm going to just copy it up. So CO in this is copy. Most things you're used to just clicking C or Control C, but here it's just CO. You can do Control C in it, but not what we're looking for here. And we'll just go ahead and bring this up to a 40 as well and give a base house. So now we have a box. If we're doing just regular square building, no one's going to see the roof. So you're down here in your camera view. You're not really looking up and going, oh, look at the roof of that house. This works pretty well. Storefronts. I'm reminded of Last of Us Part 2 where you're going through and the storefront is there and you're seeing the glass window set up in here. You're seeing the door to come in. You've got the counter built back along this area here. And that just allows you to get that set up. So what we're going to do is give this a roof. So I actually want this to be more rectangular. So since I'm going to click on both of these and I'm going to go give myself a rectangular shape. So we're going to change 40 and I'm going to jump that out to 70. And move that back and set it to zeros. Oh, I did not want to take. I don't know why, but sometimes this program does not like it when you move an object to a specified point through the controls. So when that happens, the other thing that I can do is I can go in here and I can put in a line. And the line can be set here. So I'm taking this line and I'm just going to drop it right back on my main point here. Now we have my rectangular home. So from here, say, okay, I don't like this orientation. You can go in, rotate it, and move it. And it'll click to your existing line. So you'll see how I've got down here, this is the snap. And there are two types of snap, which can be functioned through F3 or F4. F3 is a 2D. It's always going to be on your base XY. In certain views, if you're at the top view, it is normally going to click to your base level, so whatever's at your 0, 0, or below. Sometimes it'll grab higher, but it's normally going to grab at your base view. Where your F4, so your 3D object snap, allows you where if you have like a globe or something that has more depth to it, where you can click and engage points on it that are in these weird positions in a 3D realm. AutoCAD was not initially built as a 3D program. It's not built from the ground up like SolidWorks and some other programs are. It was primarily built off 2D, and it's just grown from that, but the base of it is still that 2D. So you have to use the additional tools in order to apply that type of application in this one. So from here, I've got this house, got the base setup of it. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a roof on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to need a wedge. And I'm going to use this wedge. See, it's only snapping to the corner, so I need to come back down here, and I need my midpoint. And I want my midpoint here. I'm going to select here, and I'm going to give it some height. So right now, we're looking at a total of 80, 75 for the height with both of those. So I'm going to bring this up to, let's say, 20 and see how that looks. Now that gives it a pretty steep effect. So I'm going to drop that down. I'm going to change that height. We're going to bring it down to a 15. That gives a little bit cleaner, much softer angle. Now, with any roof, your roof doesn't actually sit flush. So you're going to drag that out from the top view and turn off F3 because you can see that it's still snapping to that midpoint, and we don't want that. So I'm going to drag it out. And you can do the little number. You'll see the little number there, and it's highlighted in blue. As I pull that back and forth, it changes. And I'm just going to drag that out 5 past. And we'll take a look at it from the front. And it gives you a little bit better idea of that roof. Now that 5 is definitely too much. So we're going to bring that back, say 3. We're going to have it hang over by 2. So that brings us over here. So we're looking at a length of 37. And currently we're still at 40. So that 40 we're going to go ahead and increase out. So we want that 40 to increase, and we're going to bring that to 44. And you'll see that it pops out evenly on both sides. So it doesn't require me going in and readjusting it. It adds it to both the back and front half, giving me that nice overall look for this. So now we have that. But your roof doesn't actually go and stick out that far from everything. So what we need to do is I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to Control C this time, and I'll Control V. You'll see that's because of the 2D snap. It's turning things. It's affecting it funny because it's trying to line it up with this face. And what a face is the a side of the object. So this front face here, it's turning that wedge to align with that. But I don't want it to align with that. So I'm going to bring it back over here. And I'm going to move it, and I'm going to line it up. So now there's 2 here. You can't see the 2, but there are 2 there. And I want this to line up with the actual home. And I'm going to bring this wedge back here. And I'm going to drop that height. So right now, we've got that 45 height. or I'm sorry, 15 height, and I'm going to drop that down to 13, not 113, 13 to match that. So now we'll get a nice even layout for the roof that sticks out and over. And just to make sure I get everything, what you can do is then drag this forward and drag it down. Oh, well, we're just going to drag it forward. If we get any remnant of this other piece that we don't want, we'll worry about that here in a moment. And then I'm going to mirror this. So MI is going to mirror an object. So I'm going to select the center point of my wedge here for the roof. And you'll see it's getting stuck. So there we go. Again, it's trying to mirror across a face that I don't want it to. So I have to move it around until it mirrors to the face that I want to see. And I don't want to erase the original object. I want this to be the same on both sides. And now I'm going to do what's called a subtraction. It's effectively where I am removing material from the object that I want to be shown. So in this case, I'm removing material from the roof to give the roof a slight overhang. So that will just be sub to subtract. And then you select the object you want to keep, and then you subtract the other objects. And now you have yourself a nice little overhang with your roof. Or as one great would call it, happy little trees, even though it's not a tree. So now we have our happy little roof. I'm going to mirror that again. So once again, the MI. And now I will have a full roof. But you'll notice I've got this line down the center of it, which makes it look odd. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a union. So opposite of subtraction is a union, and I'm going to merge these two things together. So I type union, I select both objects, and it smooths it out and creates one solid piece. So now we have our roof. Now you notice this isn't perfect. Quick job. My wedge for my internal wedge did not perfectly match, but gives the base idea.